Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, November 24th, 2013. Let's start out by talking about the huge casting shocker of the week. Billy Miller is out as Billy. He's already been recast. Can you believe it? I have mixed feelings about this. I feel mixed in many ways. I know that there are a lot of Billy fans who are going to be enraged, and I can't believe that Y&R would let him go. I mean, Y&R clearly chose to let Billy be the focus of this Delia's death storyline. I mean, it's barely about Chloe. She had quite a lot of, moments this week where she was talking about her feelings and going through her feelings, but the real momentum of the storyline has been about Billy, and now they're just going to turn around and recast him? That is shocking to me. I like Billy Miller. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. I do think that he's an incredibly talented actor and very unique and rare. Gary had called into my voicemail this week and mentioned to me that, Billy Miller really doesn't look like a soap leading man. He was sort of a guy that almost kind of came from a different kind of world. He almost seems like he was a nighttime drama actor or, a movie actor who was plopped into the middle of this soap world, and he excelled and he stuck out, and it really, I think, helped him in a lot of ways. But even his body type, he didn't strike as your leading soap man, and so I think maybe that's what endeared us to him a little bit more, because he was more unique. Clearly, he is going to have a career outside of this, and I don't want us to blame Y&R 100% for this. It sounds like they were in contract negotiations for a while, and if Billy Miller wanted to stay, he would have found a way to stay. I think ultimately either the price wasn't right or he had other offers, or maybe it was a little bit of both, but I'm going to choose to believe it was a mutual thing. I'm sure Y&R would have wanted to keep him. He is a very unique actor. He brought a lot to the role. Unfortunately, another thing that that Gary had mentioned about Billy is, and in general about our soap stars, even no matter how much I love a soap star, it is kind of rare for me to follow them somewhere else. I guess I'm a bad soap fan in that way. But my only unique instance of that would have been me migrating over to Bold and the Beautiful, because I loved Don Diamond and as Brad so much. I had to make my way over to Bold and the Beautiful so that I could see his hunky ass a little bit more regularly. But other than that, I hate to say it, but I probably wouldn't follow Billy Miller. So it is a shame that we're not going to get to see much more of him. I imagine he's going to be on the screen for another month or so. But I'm also not totally turned off by the idea of a recast. Frankly, I think Y&R needs to get in there and do some recasting. Like, we're losing all of these major players and we're not gaining anybody back. Like, I am open to a Phyllis recast. I think that's a big hole in the canvas right now. Jack and Summer are going on about how they're going to spend Thanksgiving with Phyllis's comatose body. Come on, you need to just recast her. I like Michelle Stafford too. She is incomparable in the role, but Jack can't just be alone forever. We need to recast it, try it, and the fans are just going to have to open their minds up to someone else. I hate to say it, but I just think that's, where we need to go. And on the recast note, Billy's character has already been recast with David Tom, the gentleman who originated the role of Billy. And I couldn't be more thrilled about that. It's hard to accept that we're going to be losing Billy Miller, but if we have to, I'm really, really excited to see David Tom again. That thrills me. I remember when Billy Miller first came onto the scene, I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I liked David Tom so much, and I thought, well, how can anybody? Why wouldn't they just get David Tom? He's Billy. So, I mean, I'm really thrilled about this. He is a very talented actor. If you guys don't know David Tom, I think you're going to enjoy him. I mean, I have hopes. I haven't seen him in a while. I mean, it's been a decade, but I have really high hopes for him. I thought he was very talented. He's great looking. He's different. He's not going to be Billy the way Billy Miller plays him. He's a little bit more subdued, but he's got a little something about him, a little twinkle in his eye that I think I could really enjoy watching. And frankly, you know, I've had my ups and downs with the character of Billy. I like Billy Miller. That's kind of separate from that, but the character of Billy has worked my nerve quite a bit within the past several years. If someone had said, Allie, we're going to give you the option. Would you like to continue to see Billy Miller as in the character of Billy, or can we just switch things up and like go back in time and put David Tom in that role? I would probably be like, hey, let's give David Tom a try. Just for interestingness' sake. You know, I like to keep things a little bit fresh, a little bit different. I mean, I think I'm looking forward to it mainly out of a sense of my own nostalgia, and I'll admit that. And I don't want to take anything away from Billy Miller, but I loved when David Tom came onto the show. He was involved with Mac. Oh, if they could bring Ashley Bashonian back on as Mac, that would be incredible. That would be an interesting twist. Like, don't fans want to see that? I want to see that. Billy and Mac were the romantic couple of the time. So, I mean, that would just be incredible. I really hope that it all works out. I have hope for it. Again, sad to see Billy Miller go, but I have hope for David Tom. I think it could be, interesting. I'm just glad that Heather Tom, his sister, who is not playing Victoria at the time, obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but even when David Tom was on the show back in the day, Heather Tom, his sister, was playing and really brought the role of Victoria into what we know today, originated the role of Victoria as an adult. So they're brother and sister on this show, and now their characters are married. That would be so weird if they were brother and sister. I mean, YNR would never let that happen, obviously, but it's such an odd thing to think about. I'm glad Heather Tom is not playing Victoria for this return, especially because there are some serious issues in Billy and Victoria's marriage right now. Victoria is, I'm feeling bad for her. She's looking for a sense of intimacy with her husband, and that doesn't necessarily have to translate as sex. She's looking just for any type of closeness with him, and every time she tries, it's clear that he is somewhere else. If he's not thinking about something else, he's on the computer chatting in this chat room, trying to talk to other people who have lost children. Victoria has a family to try to protect, and she's all alone in this endeavor, it seems. She comes downstairs, catches Billy on the computer again, and she just begins crying and falling apart and asking, you know, is our relationship going to survive this? Are we going to survive this? Because it seems like Billy is looking for answers everywhere but with her, and she knows that. She's not stupid. She feels that. She wants to be there to comfort him, but she needs her husband too. And Billy immediately feels extremely guilty, realizes what he's done. He promises that he loves her, promises that he needs her, and that he is trying to come back to her. But then there was this follow-up scene of Billy and Victoria in bed together, and they first just kind of start cuddling and holding, and that feels so good. But then she starts to try to push things a little bit further. She's kissing on him a little bit more aggressively. She wants to make love to her husband. Totally natural. But he can't do it. You just see him disconnect, and he kind of pushes her away a little bit and just says, I can't do this, which is understandable, of course, but it just ended in this really awkward scene of her laying on his chest. They weren't making any kind of eye contact, just like a sense of, yes, we're physically together, but we couldn't be more far apart mentally and emotionally. It was very sad. The next day, Victoria is downstairs and she's going through some of Delia's things, and Billy walks in and notices that his daughter's clothes and whatnot are in a box or something in the living room, and he confronts her about it. What are you doing? And I think his first thought was, oh, she's just trying to get rid of them. He actually accused her of trying to erase his daughter. What are you trying to do? Make it seem like she was never here? He resents the fact that she was actually gathering together the clothes at Chloe's request. Chloe requested to have Billy's things, which really set Billy off, and which I agreed with Billy, actually. I felt like that was a step Victoria needed to discuss with Billy first. It's his daughter. Those things were in his house. He has a right to those things just as much as Chloe did, and I think he should have been involved in that decision. It was a little bit insensitive of Victoria, but at the same time, she doesn't feel like she can really talk to him about anything. She ended up kind of letting slip to Billy that Adam is trying to go outside the law and help them, in quotes, look for the driver of the car. And as soon as Victoria mentions that Adam is involved, Billy shoots out of the house and he goes to the restaurant. He calls Adam to meet him there, and you immediately think, and Adam immediately thinks, Billy's gonna rip him a new one, like, stay out of this. It's none of your business. You have no business getting involved in anything having to do with my precious daughter. But that's not what happened. Billy called Adam to the restaurant and, on the contrary, actually thanks him for his help. Going outside of the law is exactly what Billy wants to do right now. It speaks to him. And so there was actually this bonding moment where Billy really wanted to thank Adam for trying to help him. Like, oh my gosh, for the first time I feel like Adam actually kind of gets it. Which is so much worse in Adam's mind than if Billy would have ripped him a new one. I think Adam is expecting the backlash. He's expecting everyone to hate him and want to hurt him, and getting this kindness and gratefulness from Billy, I think, was so much harder on Adam than anything else could have been. So Adam and Billy are there talking, and at the restaurant, Kelly shows up, the woman who was in the support group with he and Victoria. Very gorgeous looking woman. I really like her personality. I think she could be very interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of Kelly. She has something different about her, and she approaches Billy and she wants to talk to him about what's going on with Delia, and she wants to, I think, probably bond with him and maybe help him through what he's going through. So they're getting very chatty with one another. Adam kind of steps aside, but there's this scene where you see Adam's face as he's sort of listening to what's going on with Billy and Kelly, and they're laughing a little bit and getting along. And Adam, I think, maybe realized that, maybe something is going on there. Like, Billy wants desperately to connect with someone who understands what he's going through, but also understands his need for revenge. Everyone in his life is empathetic, of course, to what has happened to his daughter, but no one really understands that need for revenge. So that's what he's looking for. And the question really becomes, how far is Billy willing to go to forge that connection? An affair? Prior to that meeting between Billy and Adam, they were chatting on that online forum or whatever it was, anonymously. Billy's going on about how he feels the hit-and-run driver has not paid for what he's done to his daughter, and Adam is logged on as this anonymous user trying, like, almost like it comes off as if he's trying to defend the driver, like he's trying to defend the bad guy. And in fact, Billy said something to the effect of, I want this guy to suffer. And Adam typed an anonymous response that said, guilt is a kind of suffering too. And Billy, like, I think it really set him off. Like, how dare you try to defend this? Like, how dare you try to present the other side of the situation? And it got awkward. They kind of typed back and forth in, it's a support group website. Billy doesn't want to hear the other side of the story. And I don't know why Adam is tempting fate. It would be so easy to get his IP address unless he went through some kind of masking in order to do it. I don't know what Adam is hoping to gain from this other than just trying to get an insight as to where Billy's mind is, maybe trying to find a way to say he's sorry in a roundabout way. I don't entirely understand why Adam is being so careless if he doesn't secretly want to get caught. And I don't know why Billy didn't piece this together. Why didn't Billy realize that maybe he actually was talking to the driver? That was surprising to me. So as Adam is going through this typing thing with Billy, he gets a ring on the doorbell, and it's Kevin. Kevin kind of interrupted their little chat. Adam has the laptop open on the table or whatever behind him as they're talking. Kevin came to Adam actually to ask Adam to convince Chelsea to maybe keep Connor at a little bit of a distance from Chloe. Kevin feels that Chloe having contact with Connor is making it more difficult on her. And we saw a lot more of Chloe's process this week, which really needed to happen. Again, it's been all focus on Billy, not as much focus on Chloe, but Kevin had mentioned that, she finds herself in Delia's room in the middle of the night crying. And even though Chloe thinks of Connor as this one last connection to Delia, maybe it's not really helpful for her. So Kevin is hoping that Adam can convince Chelsea to maybe be a little bit more sensitive toward that, maybe have their business meetings away from Connor. Kevin didn't notice the open computer to this chat, which is so incriminating. I really thought he was going to, but he didn't. Kevin leaves Adam's condo. I think Adam did agree to talk to Chelsea. But Kevin goes back to the police station where he's being isolated from the case. Nobody really wants to have him help. I mean, he's a hacker. He could definitely assist, but he's so close to the situation that Paul and Alex don't want him to get involved and interfere. Paul mentioned that they are bringing in a profiler, I guess someone to get into the mind of the hit and run driver and maybe be able to predict or maybe able to assist by predicting their patterns of behavior, who did it. Paul actually ended up, or was it, I don't know, was it Paul? I think it was Paul. He mentioned that most people, when they commit a crime, they end up confessing to a family member. They have to tell someone, and that's how they get the break in their case. Kevin mentioned some kind of case where the person made a video confession. Some kind of unrelated case where this person made a video confession. And so Kevin gets the idea to start poking around. He mentions that if the hit and run driver maybe made a video confession, maybe is doing something online, maybe he would be able to find it. He says nothing that anyone does online is anonymous, so he's going to be able to know who it is. And then he stumbles along upon the exact website that Adam and Billy have been chatting on. He sees it there, so does Paul, and they both remark about how it seems like the anonymous user is kind of defending the hit and run driver, but they don't really follow up on it. I'm sure that they will eventually. It's so converging. Soon enough, we are definitely going to see this coming together. And I gotta ask you guys, I've been, from the beginning of the Delia's hit and run thing, I have been saying that Adam didn't do it. I just, in my heart, feel like there's no way YNR is going to have Adam hit Delia. It just felt like there was going to be more to the story. And I don't know at this point. There have been no further clues. We, of course, saw that little flash of Nikki on the scene that night. But there have been no further clues as to who actually would have killed Delia. So maybe I'm wrong? I don't know. I am lost on this, you guys. I decided to put a poll up at yrchat.com. This week's poll is, did Adam kill Delia? Is Adam actually guilty of this crime? And I would love it if you guys would go to the website and vote in that poll and tell me what you think. I mean, did he actually do this, or is there more to the story? Because Adam's guilt is consuming him. In fact, the next day, he goes back to that same chat room or message board, whatever it is, and he almost, like, he types out a confession to Billy in a one line, like, I know all about guilt and all that because the hit and run driver, the person who killed your daughter, is me. And he ultimately chose not to send it. I guess Adam just wants to get it off his chest, but at the same time, he doesn't want to lose his life. He doesn't want to lose his son, but so he ends up deleting it. But as he's still on this website trying to chat with Billy anonymously, Chloe comes over to visit Chelsea and get some work done, and Adam leaves. He doesn't want to have any contact with Chloe. It's clear that he feels awkward around her. So he leaves, but he leaves that whole chat room up on his computer screen. He leaves his laptop on the table, and it's pulled up to that chat. And Chloe, what do you know, forgot her laptop, needs to get some work done, so she asks Chelsea if it's okay if she borrows Adam's computer. I mean, there have been so many instances this week where Adam almost got caught because of that chat room. Chloe ended up getting a phone call from Victoria to say that Delia's clothes were ready, so she pulls open the screen, it's right there, but Chloe doesn't end up seeing it. She has to leave, but it was a very close call. Why did Adam leave it like that? He's being so careless. I've said it for the last 3 weeks in a row. I just feel like he almost wants to get caught. Like he just wants this decision to be taken out of his hands. I think he's to the point where it's like, I don't know what's worse, living with the guilt or actually paying for the crime, because they're both horrible. In a way, getting caught would at least alleviate the dreams of Delia, the constant thoughts of Delia, the constant guilt running into these people. It's eating him alive. At least if he was able to get caught, maybe it would be easier on his conscience. Well, after Chloe leaves, this is so ridiculous, Chelsea also goes to the laptop, also opens up the screen, and there's this moment where we just see her face looking at the screen, and she's like, oh my God. And I thought, this is it, Chelsea's finding out. But no, as soon as we get back from commercial break, we see that she's reacting to Adam having a picture of her and Connor as a screensaver, not a screensaver, his background on his laptop, like the background of his home screen or whatever. Why was that gasp worthy? It was such a fake out, if I've ever seen one. Anyway, I don't know when YNR is going to tie this one up or give us some kind of progress. I have no idea. Victoria goes to see Adam again this week, and she again asks him if he's made any progress on finding the hit-and-run driver. It's so weird. I mean, they're leaning on him. I'm sure he wishes Chelsea never would have mentioned that. What is he, the secret police? He's supposed to magically just find out who this is? Little do they know Victor is actually the one who is behind the scenes trying to go in a stealth way, finding out things that the police, for some reason with a full team of people, can't find out. Well, I don't know. It's a weird interaction between Adam and Victoria because they're not friendly. They're brother and sister, but they've been enemies way more than they've ever been close. And Victoria, for someone who once had him's help, is so rude to him. She goes on about how shocked she is that he actually takes care of his son because Adam was like, gotta go make a bottle for Connor. I mean, yeah. Why is it shocking to you that he would feed his son? I don't get it. She's so, I don't know, she's so rude to him. I mean, I guess, I don't know, who knows, they have reasons for disliking each other, but she's vulnerable, and she was, in talking to Adam, insisting that, Billy is going through a hard time, but she's going to help him get through this. Being with him and being with her and Johnny is going to pull Billy out of this darkness. The thing is, Adam knows something that Victoria doesn't know. Billy has an attractive new lady friend. Nick has taken over again the role of being Sharon's defender. Nick has defended Sharon to Victor a couple of times this week. He was doing it last week and he did it a couple times again this week. It's such I feel mixed about this because it's kind of nice seeing Nick and Sharon together again as a family and to see him, defending her. But then, why does it have to have this huge lie between them? Why? When is Y&R going to deal with the summer paternity thing? Can we get on that? Because it's just heartbreaking to see Jack and Summer trying to connect. It's heartbreaking to know that Nick is in pain and his daughter is really his daughter, and that it's Sharon that's keeping them apart. How can Sharon needs to either confess to this, if she's truly determined to get back on the road to mental health, she needs to confess to this, or Phyllis needs to be recast and woke up or something, because I can't enjoy Nick and Sharon being together when there's this huge lie in between them. So, there's awkwardness between Sharon and Nick and Dylan and Avery and Faith. Nick tells Faith that he's gonna buy her this dollhouse that she wants for Christmas. But Dylan has other plans. Dylan has decided that Faith had mentioned she wanted a dollhouse, so he thinks that they're gonna build one together, or he's gonna build it for her. It's sad because Dylan is so obviously projecting. He should be staying away from Nick. He should be staying away from Nick's family, but instead he has this idea that he wants to go build a dollhouse for Faith. And I really think it's because he has this fatherly instinct that's now been taken away from him. He ends up going out to the ranch and showing Faith these sketches of this dollhouse he wants to build her, and she's so excited, not just because it's a dollhouse, but because it's something that Dylan is wanting to give to her. She loves Dylan. She idolizes him. But we all know Nick is not going to have it. Naturally, Nick flips out. They have this huge blowout at Sharon's house. Nick is saying, "Stay away from me. Stay away from my family." Nick feels encroached upon. It's not enough that Dylan, in Nick's mind, stole his fiance, but now he wants to be friends with his daughter and his ex-wife, and Nikki's hugging Dylan at the Veterans Day benefit, and it's understandable that Nick feels encroached upon. And Dylan, the right thing to do, even though I think his heart is in the right place, the right thing to do is to stay away from them, and he didn't do that. Why didn't he do that? There was a scene between Dylan and Stitch this week where Stitch insists that the whole dollhouse thing was really about Avery, that it was about his need to impress Avery, and I don't get that. Maybe one of you guys can explain that to me, because I felt like the dollhouse thing was more about him and his wanting to be a father. I don't know. I don't think he needed to impress Avery by building Faith a dollhouse. I don't know. I don't get it. But on a separate note, Dylan asked Stitch about his wife and kids this week, and there was a little bit of hesitation. He's like, "So when are your wife and kids gonna come up to Genoa City?" And Stitch had some awkwardness about him. He was like, "Oh, well, we're having trouble selling the house. So I think Stitch we're freeing him up. See, I knew it, you guys. You guys, like, laughed at me because I'm like, ooh, who can we pair Stitch with? And everybody's like, he's married. I knew that wasn't gonna laugh. Billionaire's not gonna bring on a soul punk and make him tied down to some family we don't even know or it's not on the scene. They either needed to bring the other family on or move on, break it up, let's hook him up. It's what we watched the show for. So anyway, Nick now has to deal with the aftermath of the whole dollhouse thing. Faith is wanting Dylan's dollhouse. She doesn't want a dollhouse that Nick's gonna make or buy for her. She wants the homemade one from Dylan. All Faith ever does is fan the flames. That's her whole role in life, is to fan the flames of whatever's going on in Nick and Sharon's life. She's such a tool. So that just makes Nick way more angry about this. He is bubbling. Nick's rage toward Dylan is just reaching a rolling boil. Dylan, I think, is trying to get on with his life. He feels, both he and Avery, probably Avery more so, feel awkward about the idea of pursuing a relationship together, but Dylan does love her. He's always loved her. As Stitch mentioned, he carried her picture halfway across the world. Through his whole journey and trauma in combat, he always had Avery in mind. And now she's free. They're both free, and there's actually an opportunity for them to move on with their life together. Dylan, it was kind of cute. He ended up cutting out and saving this tree carving that they had made together. I guess when Avery was pregnant, he took her to meet his family. And they, outside the house, carved A plus D into a tree, and Dylan went out there and cut it out and gave it to her. So they're trying to pick up the pieces of their life and trying to move on together, and they decided this week to maybe go out and get a fresh start, maybe have like a first date, maybe like a nice, quiet, private evening at the athletic club. Nikki is convinced that it's time for her to tell the truth to Dylan and to her family about her long-lost son. And Paul is being very there for her. He's been with her throughout this whole journey, and he thinks that, maybe it's a good time to tell the truth, but he's also really concerned about her well-being. She gets the idea that maybe she needs to tell the Newman family first so that it's not overwhelming for Dylan. She really seems to be mostly concerned about Dylan's feelings in this. Maybe that's her motherly instinct, but she feels like if she tells the Newmans first, it'll give them a chance to get used to it, and then they can hopefully, in her ideal mind, that this is never going to happen, the Newmans are going to bond together and embrace Dylan and bring him quietly and lovely into the family, like they did Adam. Before Adam even did anything to them. Paul is definitely asking her to be cautious, so she still feels torn about it. She ends up going to Chancellor Park at night, by the way. I don't think Nikki needs to be walking around at the park at night, but she goes there to talk to Catherine and look at the plaque on the wall. This week I really at several points kept thinking, I just can't believe she's gone. I cannot believe that Catherine is gone. It's still so sad to me. I never want us to forget it. For as much as I'm griping about how many scenes we're seeing at Chancellor Park, it is a good memorial to her, and I was really happy to see Nikki acknowledging her friend. It was Catherine who set her upon this journey in the first place. So it was nice to see her talking to her friend again. While Nikki's out there in the park, she runs into Avery, who's also out at the park at night. And Nikki reveals that she's thinking about telling him. She's thinking about telling Dylan. And Avery feels like this is not a good idea. She feels like Dylan has only memories left of his parents and doesn't want that to be ruined for him. Dylan had just been talking to her about that tree carving and just the memories that he has of his parents, and Avery doesn't want to rob him of that. So she lets Nikki know that in no uncertain terms, but then Dylan comes walking in, also going for a night stroll in the park. And there's just this sense of Nikki needing to get it off her chest, being at the end of her rope with it. So she quietly dismisses herself, walks off, and Nikki calls the athletic club to arrange a family dinner to tell her Newman family. And there is this moment before the big dinner. This is what we're working toward, the big Newman family dinner. She's called everybody in. There's this moment right before the dinner that she has with Nick. And in my head, Nick is her real son. I'm struggling to accept Dylan as her son. Maybe I'm a Newman at heart or something. I'm just not wanting to accept it. But she does have a moment with Nick beforehand and tells him what a good son he's been. She doesn't want to take anything away from him just because now she has this long lost other son, and also because I think Nick is going to be the one who's going to have the hardest time with this information. So they all meet at the athletic club. Nikki's rationale, by the way, for wanting to meet at the athletic club was because she felt like Victor would be less likely to blow up and freak out in public. And as she was saying that to Paul, actually, I thought, give me a break. There's no amount of walls that will hold in Newman's rage. If he's going to get mad about it, he's going to get mad about it wherever he is. But they all sit down for this dinner, and they're, of course, very concerned about why Nikki wants to talk to the family. And she begins to describe everything from the beginning, from Catherine's quest for her. And she gets, to the point of saying that she's ready to reveal what Catherine's quest for her was. And Victor gets a damn cell phone call right in the middle of it. I was so annoyed. She insists that he needs to take the call. He does. He walks off and takes the call. And by the way, it was his private investigator saying, oh, I have matches for any license plate numbers of black SUVs in the area that start with the letters or the number 6. There's 9 of them, and I'm sure Victor's gonna get a look at that next week. We all know it's gonna lead to Adam. It's all converging so quickly. While Victor is away taking his phone call, Nikki notes that there's a table set up next to them with champagne and roses. Looks like a romantic dinner table for someone. And then Dylan and Avery walk in the door. What a coincidence that Dylan and Avery are going to be there at the same night that Nikki's going to reveal this information to her family in public. It was so awkward to see them all together. Nick can barely contain himself. He is wriggling in his seat. He eventually decides, I gotta get up. I can't handle this. They're here, for this romantic evening, and I can't stand it. Dylan and Avery had both agreed, we're just gonna go somewhere else. That's fine. We'll make reservations. They were being more passive about it, but Nick's gotta get up. He's gotta confront him. He's gotta get in his face, telling Dylan, he said something like, it's like you're trying to steal my life. Which I understand why Nick feels that way, but he has to rub salt in the wound, saying there's a reason that you can't be trusted with children because of what he did with Connor. And Dylan is trying so hard to compose himself. He just says, you need to just get out of my face right now. But Nick, we know Nick. Nick is always looking for a fight. Nick is just looking for a reason to punch Dylan. Nick, by the way, just slight tangent. Nick's haircut is really good. Whoever cut his hair did a really good job. I have mixed feelings about Nick's hair sometimes. Sometimes it's too long and too shaggy. He's got a wave that needs to be controlled. But it looked really good. I thought Nick looked really good this week. But more importantly, Nick starts poking at Dylan, really trying to provoke him, and the second Nick sees an opening, he just whines back and takes a big old punch at Dylan. I mean, he really brought that fist back and whammed him, and Dylan's no wimp. I mean, he's not gonna just take it. Dylan punches back, and then it's a free-for-all with Dylan and Nick going at it at the athletic club. Avery's like, stop it. Nikki gets up. Oh gosh, you guys. She gets up in between these guys, is trying to pull them apart, and she's really addressing Nick, and she's saying, don't do this, Nicholas. And Nick is just saying, why, Mom? Why? And Nikki just blurts out, because Dylan is my son! It was so classic. It was really everything that I needed to be. They just whipped it up into this fury because Dylan's my son. It was straight out of Soap Dish. I loved it. Everybody just looked at Nikki like she was insane. Like, she's lost her damn mind. What is she talking about? This guy's her son? Is she drinking again? I mean, it was so great to see everybody's reaction. Dylan just had this look on his face like, okay, lady. Nick is just like still with adrenaline. Avery's looking embarrassed because this is how it's coming out. And Victor just had this befuddled look on his face, like, what are you talking about, darling? You're saying he's your son, this Dylan McAvoy, or whatever the hell his name is? Jill and Lauren are together this week. That's another surprise family relationship that I always had a hard time accepting. I like Jill and Lauren separately. I've just always had a hard time accepting them truly as being sisters. I mean, I'm just going with it, but at the same time, I have a little bit of trouble believing that. But they're having a little sisterly lunch this week, talking about Lauren's unfortunate situation, and Jill is praising Lauren for addressing it with the employees. Apparently, Lauren had to stand up in front of everyone and just say what was going on with her life, and Jill was like, good job, it was the right thing to do. First, your boss, Lauren Fenmar, has a sex tape out there, which all of her employees saw and probably watched multiple times. Everybody in the company probably wants to get with her. I mean, she walks the hall with her big boobs and her little outfits and her high heels, and everybody probably wants to sleep with her. So there are probably some top execs at Fenmore's that are just like watching that on a loop. But for crying out loud, that sex tape got her named Businesswoman of the Year. The fact that her husband and her son are both in prison at the same time, shoot, maybe that'll make her first lady. It's a mixed bag there for you, Lauren. There's some good and some bad. My gosh, though, the freaking greatest moment of the whole week was Jill offering to seduce a judge for Lauren. Jill's like, hey, I know this judge. Maybe if I seduce him, he'll be able to help out Michael and Fen. Gee, Jill, what a sacrifice. How nice of you. I mean, come on. Is that business or pleasure? Oh, Jill, I love her. Jeez. If you're looking to get laid, Jill, you don't need an excuse to get laid. Just do it. That was so good. Oh, man. Oh, Jill did mention, by the way, that she addressed her Switzerland trip. She said, Switzerland was a wild goose chase, but the only thing she did learn was the name of the song that was playing inside the music box that Catherine gave her. It was titled Ballerina. Is it a clue or is it just like an aside? I'm not sure, but Jill revealed that she feels the music box is a bust. She doesn't think there's anything in there that she's supposed to learn from it, but she believes fully that getting Chancellor back from Victor is Catherine's final challenge for her. It's kind of a self-serving final challenge. I mean, I don't know if that was truly Catherine's intent, but hey, it's what you're gonna do, Jill, so you go for it, girl. It was nice to see Jill this week, as usual. It was doubly nice to finally see Gloria. It's been way too long. Patricia has left me a couple of voice messages within the last couple of weeks saying, hello, YNR, where is Gloria? Her son and her grandson are in prison, and you're supposed to let us believe that she's not around for that? Not to mention the fact that Jeff's not around for his grandson or for Chelsea's, son to get to know him. It's like Gloria and Jeff were just totally missing from the scene, and I was so happy to see Gloria waltz into the prison in black leather and dripping in jewels. She's such a treat. And it was a really powerful interaction between her and Michael. Fen doesn't want visitors, but she actually comes face to face with Michael, and she's feeling so helpless, and she doesn't really know what to say to him, so she kind of makes a couple of quips about him looking thinner and his hair looking bad, and it was like playfully sad, and I really enjoyed it. I think Judith Chapman just classes this place up. And I'm surprised that I even say that, because back when she was married to John and the whole face cream debacle, I was not having Gloria at all. But now that she's missing, I love seeing her come for even just a couple of scenes. It's just right. It was too short. She should be around. She mentioned, I think, that she's going on some kind of cruise. So we're not going to be seeing her very much anymore. But come on, YNR. I mean, I know she's busy or whatever, but can we at least get her on recurring? Can we get her on a little, once a month at least? Can I get once a month of Gloria, please? The whole Baldwin thing, it's falling so flat. It was my favorite storyline for so long, and now I'm just like, I don't care. I'm sick of this jail. I'm sick of I don't know what's going on with Carmine. Paul ends up going to see Michael this week just after Gloria leaves and tells him that he has pulled some strings and might be able to get Michael's case seen by a judge and reversed, which is the last thing that Michael wants. He wants to stay in prison now so that he can protect and advise Fen, which, I mean, I'm sorry, the thing that keeps sticking with me is that Fen is in prison for 1 month. 1 month. It's going to take a little while for your case to get reviewed anyway. Why not take Paul up on that offer? The whole, I have to sacrifice everything my entire life for my son thing, it's just overplayed. It's over dramatic. It's so unstrategic for Michael Baldwin. 1 month? I mean, can't Fen get by for 1 month? I mean, I know jail's not a good place or whatever, but can't you just hide in a corner at least for a month? I could do anything for a month, I would think. I don't know. Fen's, he's in prison. He's got a new nickname, Mouse. Which is actually so appropriate, because I can totally see him with whiskers and little ears. The next time you look at Fen, please be sure to imagine him with whiskers and little ears. Because it's so fitting. He's trying on his own to cozy up to this Womack character, to get info from him, to give to the warden so that he can get himself cleared of these charges and get out of jail. And again, 1 month. Why take the risk? Why would you bother doing this, putting yourself in this highly dangerous situation when you're just going to be out of there in a month? I would try not to make any enemy. Well, it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. It's so overplayed. Womack is dangerous. I'm not trying to say it's not a dangerous situation. He ended up calling Fen out about his lie for being in jail for murder. Fen told everybody he's in jail for murder, which probably nobody believed anyway. Womack was able to figure out that he was actually in jail for drugs, and then make some indication to Fen about drugs being available in prison and offers to get him some, which, I mean, really, it's bad. It's bad. But drugs is like the least of what he could do to him. In spite of the fact that Jack said no, Kyle is determined to get inside the company at Newman Chancellor and be a mole so that they can try to take Chancellor Industries away from Victor. Kyle is meeting with Victor, trying to convince Victor to hire him, and he's taking a line that he's tired of being Jack Abbott's son. He's telling Victor that he's tired of being the boss's son over at Jabot. He wants a shot at independence. He wants to make his own way. And this is his way of trying to appeal to Victor to get him to hire him. And I got a voicemail from Connor this week who really zeroed in on Kyle and said, maybe there is some truth in there. We can't forget that Kyle thought of Victor as his father for a period of time, and Kyle mentioned that. He kind of pulled up, the Diane card. You treated me like a son, and I thought of you almost like a father. They were very close. Kyle lived with him for quite a while too. So Kyle really tried to get in there and get close to Victor, get Victor to trust him, and I think in the end it might backfire. I wonder if in the end of all of this, Kyle is going to end up with an affection for Victor and a problem, creating a problem between he and his father. Kyle ends up handing over some kind of prospectus, it was some emails or some kind of proposal that he gave to Jack, and Jack turned it down, and he even included a string of emails, I guess, between him and Jack that he'd printed out for Victor, and the whole thing gave an air almost of Kyle's willingness to maybe spill secrets from Jabot, which Victor loved. He immediately was like, "You hired." If you're willing to spy, you're totally hired. But there's in the back of my head, I'm thinking, there's no way Victor is buying this. There's absolutely no way. Not only is Kyle Jack's son, his longtime rival's son, but how could Victor hire a guy with long hair like that? I knew it was never going to happen. I swear to you guys, I swear. 10 minutes before, any of this happened, the second they were sitting down at the table together, I thought that Victor has got to hate Kyle's hair. It's still, I saw Kyle in the suit, and Victor there, and the scene, and I'm like, there's just no way. Victor's got to be thinking, cut that hair. And I was totally right. Victor was like, look, yeah, you're hired, but you're going to have to cut your hair, which I also think was just a test from Victor. I think it's Victor trying to see how far Kyle is willing to go. It's a way of testing his loyalty, and hallelujah, he did. Kyle cut his hair. He comes up the next day, he's wearing a nice dapper suit, and that hair is cut off. It's nice and short, and I'm telling you guys, I looked at him differently immediately. It was like the hair was clouding any kind of empathy I could possibly have for the character, anything I could have for the character. As soon as I saw his haircut, I was like, oh my gosh, he actually is kind of a good-looking guy. I actually was looking at him sort of really? For the first time. He was actually a little bit attractive to me in that moment. Can't believe it. Can't even believe it. Did Y&R bring in a hairstylist just to work on everybody? Because first it was Abby got her short hair, then Avery got short hair, and then Kyle got his short hair. In 1 week, I swear, I think they brought everyone in and were just snip, 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 and then the hair was cut. Oh, man. I think it looks good. I don't know. You guys will have to tell me what you think about Kyle's hair. Well, Jack was totally disgusted, by the way. He hates that his son is working for Victor. He hates to see his son jumping when Victor says jump. But Kyle goes to his first day in the office, and it was the first time that we actually saw Victor's office in a long time. I can't remember the last time we were in Victor's office. It just feels like forever. So it was nice to see that set. That's our classic set. Don't burn that down. Please don't have Sharon burn that place down. Y&R. I need some sort of connection back to the past, please. So it was nice to see that. Noah was in Victor's office doing a big business pitch. Noah's really trying to become the young exec. He's trying to impress his grandfather. And Nick ended up interrupting Noah's big pitch. He wanted to talk to Victor about Sharon, but Noah was very unhappy about that. Victor sort of brushed Noah off and said, why don't you go meet the new hire, which ended up being Kyle. So Noah and Kyle are now working together, and they're already sort of butting heads. There was a scene a little bit later where Noah and Kyle and Victor were in the office together, and Noah clearly wanted to continue to talk to Victor, but Victor brushed him off and kind of pushed Noah aside to continue having a conversation with Kyle. I know that hurt Noah, and Noah ended up confiding in Courtney later at the gym. And Noah, he's not stupid. He says to Courtney that he realizes everything with Victor is a test, and that he is being pitted against Kyle. He's very perceptive, I think, and I thought that was very good of him. Speaking of that, there was not very much talking about Courtney and the drugs. Summer confronted Courtney about the drugs. She still denies it, and then Courtney and Noah had a little bit of a cute scene there at the athletic club, in the gym at the athletic club. And my only comment this week is like, is it weird that I don't know? I'm looking at Courtney different now. It's like I like her better now that she has a dark secret. This week, Roxy is hanging out with Lily and Kane on the boulevard, and she's looking all cute in her little peacock sweater, and she's got a flashy new bracelet that she's brought for herself because Devon gave her a credit card now that he's extremely rich. He, on the other hand, is, I think, at the coffee house when he gets a call from the bank telling him that a major purchase has been made on his credit card. He shows up on the boulevard and confronts Roxy and accuses her of overspending, and not only that, but saying that, like, she is more interested in the money than she is in him. I was so mad at him for that. I mean, I guess in his defense, becoming an overnight billionaire sounds great, but I guess I can understand how it would mess with your head. And, like, why did she buy a condo on his credit card? She reveals that the spending was her surprise for him. She bought them a condo. They've been together for 6 years. She wants them to move in together. It probably was not the best idea to do that, but I mean, maybe the money is messing with her head too. All of a sudden you've got this millionaire boyfriend who has never really committed fully to you in like a marriage or living together kind of way. So maybe she's feeling insecure, and so she wanted to surprise him with this condo. I don't know. She storms off, and Devon's like, well, I can't, why is she so mad at me? I was so glad that Lily was able to reel him in. She was like, Devon, dude, you told her to buy whatever she wanted, and then you scolded her for doing it. So you've been together 6 years. Maybe it's time to make a commitment, and Roxy's not wrong for wanting that. She's not wrong for wanting a commitment from you. So, I'm so angry because I was like, at this point, I'm like, yeah, Roxy, bring Roxy on full time. She's like cool. I like her. I feel like I can connect with her. I don't know why she's been on for so long and YNR never really gives her that much screen time. I don't get it. She ends up coming back and having a very sincere, very honest talk with Devon. She doesn't want to forgive him for what he just accused her of. And she ends up leaving him. She ends up breaking up with him. I mean, I understand her point that you just questioned my feelings for you. You just questioned what kind of person I am. You just questioned whether I wanted the money more than I wanted you, and that tells me that you don't think very highly of me right now. And he's like, I just made a mistake. I'm really sorry. Go ahead, keep the condo. Let's move in together. Let's do it. And she leaves him. She dumps him, and I'm so disappointed. All this is doing is making room for Devon to end up hooking up with Hillary, and frankly, I would rather see Roxy 100 times more than Hillary. I just think Roxy has depth in her eyes or something. I like her. I'm annoyed. Please tell me that's not it, YNR. Bring Roxy back. Jeez. Why is this so difficult? Well, later Devon's at the coffee house and he's really having a meltdown. He's gained so much and lost so much at the same time. He's gained the money, lost his grandmother, lost Roxy now. He gives the guy behind the counter at the coffee house like $1,000 for a $4 coffee. He just starts throwing down bills on the counter saying, "Take my money. You can have it. I hope it helps you. It's destroying my life." I kind of like this though. I like seeing this like downward spiral. It's something we haven't really seen before. Like money is always represented as something it's so lavish and you can jet set around the world and take vacations and wear jewelry and great clothes and live in mansions. But we've never really seen this story about someone having money really ruin their lives. So I don't know. It's not enough for him. He doesn't really want the money, but he doesn't want to really give it away either. Not in mass. He knows that it's his grandmother's legacy, so I think he wants to hang on to it. But I kind of am digging the story. We've also got Mason hanging out on the sideline. I don't know what he's gonna do. He still like has Devon's credit card that he stole a couple of weeks ago or something. And there was this little scene where Mason and Hillary run into each other and they kind of confront, Mason kind of confronts her, like, "What's your new angle? Yeah, now you're working at Jabot, you're working for Jack, what are you up to?" And she insists that she's reformed. She says, "I'm a good girl now and I'm trying to believe her." And it's kind of funny because I got, I don't know if it was a voicemail or a message from Gary again this week, or an email message, but it said, he said, "Why is it that you're willing to accept Hillary's reformation, but not Chelsea's?" Which is such an interesting point because I'm always so down on Chelsea and I'm trying to give Hillary a second chance. So I think that's a really good point. But I have to say, I think the difference with Chelsea is she was brought on as a bad character and then they lifted her up. And then they dragged her back down again. And she told like this sustained lie. I think that's the hardest thing for me to get over for Chelsea, was that she was lying about her, the paternity of her child forever, for like the entire length of the pregnancy. Hillary just came on. She was kind of bad. But now they're trying to change. If she burns me again, obviously I'm going to be mad at her. But it was the sustained lies with Chelsea that I think really got to me. I don't know. We'll see. My jury's still out on that. Maybe I could change my mind on Mason too. Who knows what they're going to do with him. He just seems to be on his path of trying to something Devon. I don't know what it is. Like, Mason and Devon have this weird frenemies thing going on. Like, they're friendly, getting drinks together, but then there's also this animosity between them. I don't know. I think Mason wants to be Devon. Kane has been talking for weeks about wanting to do something new, having a fresh start with Lily. They're both kind of out of work, or he is anyway, and she's not happy at her job. So he's been dangling this surprise in front of Lily for quite a while. And this week we revealed that Kane's much anticipated surprise for Lily was an empty warehouse. God, I hope she doesn't get pregnant and give birth there. How many dingy warehouses? What is it with Y&R and the dingy warehouses? We had the underground, we had Dylan's place, and now another dingy warehouse. Ugh, I don't get it. We're gonna see it again. Kane brings Lily into this place and he says that he wants to buy this warehouse. It's a blank canvas for them to create something new for their future. What could it be? Something artistic, something creative. And he comes up with the idea that they should open a dance studio. Lily, I don't know, is Lily a big dancer? I don't know. We all know Drusilla was the ballerina, but I don't know, was Lily a huge dancer? I don't know. I think she likes dancing. I really liked the idea of the dance studio. I thought, oh, well, that's very, very right. It's bringing it back to some history with Lily's mother, and they, Y&R did this very chic, candlelit dance sequence fantasy for Lily and Kane. They sort of, in their minds, transform, and they're in this dark place just dancing with one another. It was kind of cool. The dancing wasn't that great, but I could see it. I don't know. I thought, oh, a dance studio can be interesting, and I immediately had to connect it to Jill saying that the name of the song playing in that music box Catherine gave her was Ballerina. And now I'm like, ooh, all of a sudden a dance studio? So what's up with that? I just thought, ooh, that could be good. But Lily and Kane are standing there. They look over at this tarp, and Lily starts to scream because something's moving under the tarp. Kane lifts the tarp away, and they discover there's a homeless woman living underneath of it. And they scared her. Everybody was scared. They felt really bad because they realized she was like living in this empty warehouse. Kane tries to give her some money, and he's like, I'm really sorry. And they kind of like slowly back out of the room. But Lily seemed very affected by this. She really wasn't feeling the dance studio idea, but she doesn't really know what she wants to do. She's kind of waiting for something to click for her, and she looked at the homeless woman, and just as they were leaving, the homeless woman said something like, I hope you find what you're looking for. And Lily had this affected look about her. I am totally thinking that I just have a feeling we're going to be opening up, Lily and Kane are going to be opening up a homeless shelter or a woman's shelter or something like that. I don't know. I thought that the homeless woman talking was very effective too. I mean, maybe we'll see, I hope we see more of that homeless lady. Like, she kind of made me sad. I'm watching this homeless lady and I'm thinking, I like her like way more than I like Abby. Okay, you guys, that is the end for me for this week. I hope that everybody enjoyed the show and that my US friends are gearing up for a really good Thanksgiving this week. I hope you eat lots of stuff and gain some weight. Because that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm sure that Y&R will not air on Thursday. I don't know about Friday. Any way we slice it, I imagine we're gonna have a short week next week, but we'll see. We'll deal with it. I'll still be back, and we'll deal with the aftermath of Nikki's, he's my son. We'll deal with that next week. All right, you guys, I love you. Everybody take care. Leave me some comments. I apologize. I didn't have a chance to respond to comments this week. We had that severe weather around here and it kind of messed things up. But please feel free to leave comments. I will definitely be reading and responding. I love you. Thank you so much. Bye.